Hey folks, this is Coach Holliday, and we're going to look at the laws of exponents, writing the laws. This is based off of the lesson you did today in class on the zombies activity. So before we get started too far, take out your notes, and I want to go over a couple things you should remember from middle school. First of all, if I have that, we call that x to the third power. The x is called the base, and that 3 up there, the part that's raised up, that's called the exponent. Hopefully you remember that. And what x to the third power means, it means 3 x's multiplied together. Okay, so just for a quick example, if I had 2 to the third power, that would mean 2 times itself 3 times. And 2 times 2 times 2, that's actually 8, just for your information there. Okay? So just remember that what a base and what the exponent is. We also call that exponent of power. Let's say with that information, what we want to do is we want to look at what happens, or we want to go ahead and take this expression, each of the expressions in this row, and we want to expand them, and then we're going to simplify, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So the first thing is we're going to multiply f to the 6th times f to the 5th. F to the 6th means 6 f's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we want to multiply that by f to the 5th, which means 5 f's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when I want to take this part that I expanded and I want to simplify it. So if I look at all this, they're all f's multiplied together, so our base would be an f. And how many of them are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So f to the 11th power. All right, let's do that for the y part here. All right, y to the 8th means y times 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 y. That's 8 y's times y to the 2nd. I'm going to have 2 more y's. So I have a base of y, and then how many y's do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I want you to take just a second and see if you can do this last one, x squared times x to the 3rd times x to the 4th. Okay, when we look at that, we have x squared, which is 2x's, times x to the 3rd, which is 3x's, times x to the 4th, which is 4x's. So the base is going to be 4 when we, the base is going to be x when we simplify, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the 9th power. Okay? So now, what do we want to look at? We want to look and see what happened here. Well, if I noticed that if I take in the first one, if I add 6 and 5, I get 11. If I add 8 and 2, I get 10. If I add 2 plus 3, that's 5, plus another 4, that's 9. So our rule for this, when I multiply with the same base, I just add the exponents and keep the base. So the rule would look like this. A to the m times a to the n. Since they both have that same base of a, it's going to be a to the m plus n. Alright, so let's look at 2 examples. 3 to the 2nd times 3 to the 4th. They both have 3 as the base, so 3 is going to be my base, and I add those exponents. Since I'm multiplying, I add 2 plus 4 is 6, so I get 3 to the 6th. Now I could work that out 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, but that'd be a really big number. Okay, let's look at this second example over here. Negative 4 x to the 3rd y to the 2nd times 9 x to the 2nd y. So first of all, I have these coefficients, negative 4 and 9, so I'm just going to multiply those and get negative 36. And then I have x to the 3rd and x to the 2nd. Since I'm multiplying, I'm going to add add the exponents. Keep the base of x and add those exponents. 3 plus 2 is 5. And then I have y to the 2nd times y. And remember, if it's just y, it's going to be y to the 1st. So they both have y as the base. I'm going to add the exponents. 2 plus 1 is 3, and that's the simplified part. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to dividing powers with the same base. we want to write these out just like we did the last one. So m to the 7th is 7 m's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, divided by 2 m's, m to the 2nd. And remember, with a fraction, if I have something on the top and the bottom, they both cancel out and make 1. All right? So what happens when I simplify this all together? I have 5 m's on the top, so that's m to the 5th, and on the bottom I would just have 1, so I'll just leave it m to the 5th. All right, let's expand this second one. I have 5 b's on top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 b's on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, cancel out top and bottom, and I have b to the 2nd left. And then my last one, w to the 9th, so that's 9 w's on top, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 4 w's on the bottom. And I'll start canceling and cancel 4 on the top and the bottom, and I have 5 w's left, so w to the 5th. So take a quick second, see what happens with this 7 and this 2. How do I get 5 from 7 and 2? Well, I subtract. How do I get 2 from 5 and 3? I subtract. And how do I get 5 from 9 and 4? I subtract. So when dividing with the same base, we just subtract the exponents and keep the base. And the rule is going to be a to the m divided by a to the n is a to the m minus n. So let's look at our examples here. X to the 5th divided by x to the 2nd, they have the same base. So x is going to be our base. And since it's division, I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. And that's what I get there. On the second example here, I'm going to do the parts together just like I did with the multiplication. 10 divided by 5 is 2. I have x to the 5th over x to the 2nd. Since the base is x, since I'm dividing, I subtract. I get x to the 3rd. Then I have y to the 6th over y to the 2nd. My base is y. Since I'm dividing, I subtract and get a 4. And there is the simplified version. All right, let's move on here. Now we're going to look at raising a power to a power. So I want to expand this one. So let's expand this. This is m to the 4th raised to the 2nd. So that means I have 2 m to the 4ths. So I have an m to the 4th, which means m to the 4th, m times m times m. That's the first m to the 4th. And then I have 2 of them, though, because that exponent of 2, m times m times m times m. I'll simplify now. How many m's am I multiplying together? There's 8 of them. Okay? Let's look at the second example. A to the 2nd raised to the 5th. That means I have 5 a to the 2nds. And a to the 2nd is just a times a. So there's one of them. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. This is all multiplication. So I have how many of these a's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and then our last example is x to the 3rd raised to the 4th. So I have 4x to the 3rd. So x to the 3rd means x times x times x. And I have 4 of those. And this is all multiplication. So my base is x, and I have 3, 6, 9, 12 total. All right, so how do I get 8 from 4 and 2? Well, I multiply. How do I get 10 from 2 and 5? I multiply. How do I get 12 from 3 and 4? I multiply. So when raising a power to a power, we just multiply the exponents and keep the base. So a to the m raised to the n is just going to be a to the m times n. Okay? So do our examples here. I have 3 is my base. It's raised to the 2nd, and that's raised to the 4th, so that's a power raised to a power. So I multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. And over here, x is my base. Have a power raised to a power. Negative 3 times 15. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Now that negative in the exponent, we don't know a whole lot about that yet. We're going to learn about that in tomorrow's lesson. Okay? One more rule to rock and roll through here real quick. And this rule is 0 as an exponent. So I'm going to work this stuff out. I have x to the 4th over x to the 4th. So that's 4x's on top, 4x's on bottom. If I remember my rule when I'm dividing, I do x to the 4 minus 4, right? Alright, so x to the 4 minus 4 is x to the 0. But let's look when I work this out. If I simplify this, I cancel out an x and x and x and x. Everything cancels out, so I'm just left with 1. So x to the 0 equals 1. Let's look at this next one. P to the second, if I do the rule, p to the 2 minus 2, which is p to the 0. If I expand it, it's p times p over p times p. P's all cancel, so that just equals 1. So p to the 0 equals 1. And then my last example is m to the 5th over m to the 5th. So that's m to the 5 minus 5, which is m to the 0. And that's 5 m's on top. Guess what's going to happen with the 5 m's in the bottom? They're going to all cancel, and we'll just have 1 left. And m over m is just 1. So if I have 5 of those, I have 5. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just going to be 1. Okay? So what we see in this, by this rule, is any number raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So a to the 0 is just 1. Anything to the 0 power is just 1. So our example, 4 raised to the 0 power is just 1. If I look at the second example, I have to look at the coefficients first and divide those out. 36 divided by 6, all right, is 6. And x to the 12th over x to the 12th, that's x to the 12 minus, since it's division, I do subtract. 12 minus 12 is 0. And x to the 0 is just 1, so it's 6 times 1, which is just 6. All right, we'll pick up the other 4 rules, or I'm sorry, the last 3 rules in tomorrow night's homework, but be prepared to use the rules that you've looked at in this lesson to work in class tomorrow.